anywhere can claim to be Britain's royal city, it's this place. Now just a sleepy Hampshire market town, Winchester was once the capital of all England. The evidence of royalty can still be found. They've got palaces, tombs, the odd literary queen, and even a legendary item. That's not the round table, is it? The King Arthur's round table. I mean, it's got all the names of the knights around the outside. Sir Lancelot. Others that I can't quite read. Sir Galahad. It looks real. 13th century. Painted by Henry VIII, as evidenced by the Tudor rose in the middle. Although, you know, it was believed to be real at the time. But, nope. It's nothing like the real round table. There is no real round table, is there? Because to tell you the truth, there never was a King Arthur. So Charles II wanted to turn all of this into a sort of royal sort of palace, sort of like a British Versailles. It was going to be designed by Sir Christopher Wren, who did St. Paul's Cathedral, but, well, they completed part of it, but then something unexpected happened. Charles II died, so it was never brought to fruition, but bits of it survive. Imagine a British Versailles. Given this was 100 years before the French Revolution, how might that have changed history if Britain had... What? Bug off. How might that have changed Britain if Britain had a Versailles here in Winchester? Because it was the ostentation, the over-the-topness, the massive amounts of wealth in comparison to the poor, which sparked the revolution. And if there had been evidence for that in Britain 100 years later, if there'd been something like a Versailles, and Britain did come probably quite close to revolution, people were afraid of a revolution, but if that had happened, and it could have done, I think it would have been much more likely if Charles II had completed his Versailles, if he hadn't died. Interesting what if in history. Alfred the Great, first ever person to be voted out of the Great British Bake Off. And whenever you see a documentary or a book on Alfred, you'll see this statue. Erected in 1901 by a man called Hamo Thornycroft. What they don't tell you is where exactly it is. Britain. Closest you'll ever get to the Anglo-Saxon kings. Well, Anglo-Saxon, we know the Anglo-Saxons didn't actually exist as a people, but I'm waffling. Yep, these 6 chests here, 4 of them contain the bones of the old kings. We've got Egbert of Wessex, we've got behind me Edred and Edmund, the Spider King, and Canute up that way. Of course, we say they're the bones of the old kings, but Well, during the Civil War, these chests got a bit smashed up, mixed up, and it's entirely possible that some of the bones in these chests don't belong to the kings at all. They could quite easily belong to Barry from the local pub. There might be a thigh bone of King Canute in there, but I say might. Nobody's bothered to check, nobody's bothered to sort them out. So, we've moved the tickets. So this slightly noisy place is Winchester Cathedral. Probably after Westminster Abbey, the royal cathedral in England. This is where, in 1216, when we were being invaded by Louis of France, King John had just died. Henry III, my royal ancestor, shut up James, this is where he was crowned, just to basically legitimise him before Louis of France could, lay claim to the throne. This is one of the nicer cathedrals in England, I think. No surprise, because it is a royal cathedral. So we say it's a burial site, but, cathedrals aren't just for burials, like this nameless gentleman here. He's got a very nice tune, but I really would like to know who he is. As I say, not just for burials, it's also a place for coronations and even weddings. This is where Mary I, Bloody Mary, married Philip II of Spain. Very important royal cathedral. Very important royal cathedral, this. And some of the bishops of Winchester were brothers to the king, so quite a few of them, quite a lot of them in fact. I mean, medieval period, Bishop of Winchester was the first brother, I think, was Bishop of Winchester. Henry V's brother was, I know that much. He's the one in Shakespeare, and there probably is, if I remember correctly, a few scenes in Shakespeare set here as well. So there's not just royalty either, there's literature royalty. There's the Queen of Literature herself, the Queen of British Literature, Jane Austen, just down there. Swamped by children at the moment. Perhaps one day they'll read Pride and Prejudice and realise that Mrs. Bennet should have been pushed down the stairs. And Mr. Bennet spends the rest of the book just pretending she fell. It would be a much better ending than Jane Austen came up with. I really don't like Pride and Prejudice that much. It's not my favourite book, but for what it is, it's alright. I say this sitting 5 metres away from Jane Austen's grave. I'm a bad person. Never try and film a YouTube video on a Sunday in a bishop's palace next to a cathedral. James in the studio, /office, you are going to have to explain this one.
D'accord. Ah non, monsieur, non. Le chien en feu a tes petits amis. Je ne suis pas désolé. Salut, au revoir.
So this is Wolsey Castle, which was the seat of the bishops of Winchester, partly built by, amongst other people, Henry of Blois, who was the brother of King Stephen. It has quite a royal
A royal history. It was besieged in 1141 by the Empress Matilda during the Anarchy. In 1215, 1216 it was besieged by Louis of France, who had invaded because of King John being a bit of a and it was the site where Mary II and Philip II of Spain. It was the site where Mary I and Philip II of Spain had their wedding breakfast. These days it is a ruin because of Oliver Cromwell and the Roundheads. They destroyed it, but the current Bishop's Palace, the place where the current Bishop of Winchester lives, is next door. And that current palace has, like, the chapel, which is original. And no, you can't visit the new one. You can see Winchester College over there, where Rishi Sunak went to school. Oi, Quasimodo! Shut it! Bishop of Winchester depicting himself as Pope Desiderius. Depicting himself as the Pope. Did he have ambitions? Did he want to be Pope? I don't know much about this Henry of... Is that my answer? The current Bishop of Winchester lives just there. Does he want to be Pope? You know, the more I look at that thing, the more I think, it's just a massive dartboard, isn't it? It's Henry VIII's dartboard. I'm just imagining Henry VIII sticking a picture of Anne Boleyn in the middle of it. You wouldn't really use it for darts, so it's too big for that. Oh, no, an archery target. In fact, even then, it's way too big. I mean, it'd make a nice archery target. Like a really nice archery target. Maybe I should suggest that to them in the shop.